this story is best told chronologically because I've realized that my journey is not linear. Of product market fit research and working with a lot of
Mhm.
businesses and agencies, we quickly realize that if you can solve true problems, you always have value to add. To start with, we have a very clean.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Icons Behind Brands. I'm Devleena and I'm your host. I'm back with one more episode today and with a very special guest with me who has diverse experience exploring different industry, working with industry titans, worked with companies like Meta, Facebook, Disney Hotstar, Star Sports, and now working in Tira, Reliance Retail. I'm happy to welcome Mr. Prakash Subramanian, who is the head of growth marketing at Tira, Reliance Retail. A very warm welcome to you, Prakash, on Icons Behind Brands.
Thank you, Devleena, for having me. Happy to be here.
Awesome. Prakash, the kind of brands you have worked, that makes me so excited to talk today. And to start with the conversation, I would love to know a little about your journey so far, about the kind of roles you have taken from Meta, Facebook to Disney Hotstar, Star Sports, and now in your current position building Tira. So, how it has been and how it has shaped your marketing approach towards your marketing and growth strategies.
Sure, happy to answer. I think this story is best told chronologically because I've realized that my journey is not linear,
Okay.
and the experiences are therefore shaped by the thought process at point in time. So let me start from the beginning. So I
Okay.
did my bachelor's in mass media. I graduated, and while I was about to graduate, I was wondering what is it that I want to build my career in, right? Some of the thoughts that came in mind, and I like certain modules. I like media. I like planning. I'm good with words. I
Mm-hmm.
knew that orientally I wanted to be in this sort of a space, but I was not really sure what was the uh, true calling for me, right? So I said, you know what? I'm good with words. Why don't I start being a copywriter? It's the easiest, low friction sort of a piece. You don't need a
Okay.
lot of experience. So I
Mm-hmm.
went and I interned in a couple of places. I went there day one. I hated it. I couldn't
Okay.
write on beck and call with deadlines and frameworks on it has to be so many characters and all of those. I'm like, no, no, this is not
That
what I
limits your
like doing at all.
creativity.
Correct,
Yeah.
correct. But I stuck around. I worked in digital and social media as part of the internships, and I found okay, there is something here that I can work with.
Mm-hmm.
But I still wasn't feeling the gravitas towards my true calling, right?
Okay.
Then I graduated finally, and then I was working my full-time job with a small SME business. And I
Mm-hmm.
was very fascinated by the whole part to grow, the how business works, how stuff works. That's all that really excited me. So I spent a couple of years just learning the ropes of a non-corporate discovery on the overall ecosystem and how does life happen, right? So I did
Mm-hmm.
that, and my instant thought was that, you know what, I think business is where my orientation is. I said MBA is the next logical step
Okay.
for me, right?
Okay.
So I
Mm-hmm.
did quick research on what does it take, and I started preparing for the competitive exams that existed. And very quickly, I also again realized that I was not going to make a meaningful cut in comp exams with the way my learning has been shaped, right? My strengths are not here, but I still
Mm-hmm.
wanted to be in business. So I sat back and thought about what do I really do, right? I want to be oriented towards the business side of marketing and I
Mm-hmm.
want to be in marketing. What else am I passionate about, right? So I sat back
Okay.
and thought that, you know what, I like sports. Is there something that I can build a hybrid in? I did some research. I said, oh, you know what, sports marketing and sports business degrees exist, but India did not have meaningful opportunities in that sort of a space. So
Okay.
UK was my next natural sort of a calling there. So I went to the UK. I did my master's in sports business, graduated,
Okay.
did a couple of
Mm-hmm.
internships. One included working with Watford Football Club, right? And it was like a
Okay.
dream come true for me to get the exposure
Mm-hmm.
in the English football circuit. I follow
Oh,
the league
wow.
closely, and it was a great
Awesome.
experience, right? So
Yes.
it was a three to 4 months sort of a stint where I
Mm-hmm.
learned some interesting tidbits about how marketing within sports is oriented, right? And I also got exposure to the foundation side of most large football clubs that I have, because they also focus on giving back to the community, right? So that was very interesting and exciting,
Correct.
because that sort of a philosophy did not exist, or I was not exposed to that sort of a philosophy by then at that point in time.
Mm-hmm.
But my stint in the UK was about to end, so I came back to India. And I said, you know what, I want to continue doing this sort of a learning. But I realized that the journey back into sports in India was not straightforward and direct.
Mm-hmm.
And I was not getting the right opportunities at the places that I wanted. So I sat back again, identified gaps that were there in my experiences. I went parallel to another industry, which was very niche, hyper focused
Mm-hmm.
towards skill solving for myself. And then
Okay.
Star Sports came calling, the role opened, and
Mm-hmm.
I was very lucky because it was such a short term role. And it was a point in time role created because Star Sports wanted to bring their entire studio facilities in house.
Mm-hmm.
So for larger context, Star Sports always rented out their studios. They were owned by 21st Century Fox by then, but then Star Sports wanted to make a capex investment to build their own sports studio facilities, right? And they wanted somebody to come and project manage this piece with the leader of the project. So that experience was so great because I got to work with people in the CX suite and the entire
Okay.
cross-function log, right? It gave me such a bird's eye view on how the sports broadcasting ecosystem works, because I worked with content production, broadcast technology, design, and even the business side of things, right? Your admin,
Mm-hmm.
finance, all of the piece, right? Because everybody had to come together to deliver the facilities in time. And the
Mm-hmm.
and the goal was for us to deliver it for the 2015 Cricket World Cup. We did
Oh,
that. We did a bit of hand
wow.
holding for the actual studio team to come and take over. And then
Mm-hmm.
my role was technically finished, right? And when they hired me, they said that this project will end by the World Cup. And then we'll see where
Mm-hmm.
the openings are, and we'll absorb you in one of the full time roles, right?
Okay.
They gave me two choices. Do you want to go towards the marketing division of the football org that they had created? So they were just launching ISL. I think season one of ISL had just happened.
Okay. Okay.
They said that you could go in that sort of function, or we are building this new business, digital streaming business called as Hotstar.
Oh,
And I had
okay.
had enough exposure
Wow.
by then to realize that this Hotstar could be a very big game changer. So I said, the
Mm-hmm.
other one,
So
give me
from
Hotstar.
Star
It's okay if
Sports
I'm not in
to
marketing.
you went to
Correct,
Hotstar, like when it was
correct, correct.
emerging. Oh, wow.
Yeah, yeah. I they had already launched starsports.com, so there was proof of concept for them by then, right? But
Correct.
starsports.com was literally an extension of what they had on TV.
Mm-hmm.
The way they were thinking about building Hotstar was very, very different, and I knew exactly what they were building because I had exposure to some of the solutions that existed in the UK and the US because I'd
Mm-hmm.
seen how the market was shaping, right? So I said,
Mm-hmm.
Hotstar is where I want to be, ear to the ground. I think that's a great learning space for me.
Awesome.
Bet on the digital trend that was happening. So that's how
Mm-hmm.
that role happened. I had multiple mandates at Hotstar because I spent overall 5 years within the Star group, right? So about a year
Okay.
and a half, the studios project and Star Sports, and about the another three and a half years at Hotstar. So my first mandate was to find product market fit for their ad solution business amongst SMEs. For
Okay.
context, at that point in time, SMEs were still classically doing local print ads, outdoor
Okay.
advertising, Google
Mm-hmm.
search ads at best. This is where they played in, or maybe they picked up regional television, right? So this is typically how
Mm-hmm.
the ecosystem existed at that point in time.
Mm-hmm.
YouTube was just about breaking ground in India at that point in time with their ad solution. So
Which
essentially,
year
Hotstar
it
had
this
a
was,
large
Prakash?
2000,
Which
2015 or so.
15? Okay. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 2015 or so. So YouTube was already there by then, but then the ad solutions and the marketing element of what marketers were doing was still very, very limited, right? So you still had large CPG businesses who ran ads, but they were literally cut
Mm-hmm.
downs of their TV edits, or the TV ad in itself ran on digital. That was how that happened. So the product was very nascent, and very quickly
Mm-hmm.
after months of product market fit research and working with a lot of
Mm-hmm.
businesses and agencies, we quickly realized that this is not the way forward for the solution to grow in the market, right? So
Mm-hmm.
uh, we pivoted the whole strategy. My role then changed to managing the long tail, because you still had to solve for the longer tail of the advertising adex that existed. But then you
Mm-hmm.
work with partners like a Group M or a Tensu or the larger agencies who were
Mm-hmm.
more equipped to build a larger narrative for them, and then you could play a very important part of their overall marketing charter. So my
Mm-hmm.
role became managing the agency mandate for the long tail. And there
Okay.
I learned a lot about the overall advertising ecosystem and how
Mm-hmm.
brands think about building for themselves, how campaigns are built and thought about what are the marketing objectives, and how the funnel actually ends up shaping up for most businesses,
Okay.
right? So that is
Okay.
how that role was very enriching for me. So those 3.5 years at Hotstar and the 1.5 years, very diverse experiences, but very enriching in itself, right?
Awesome.
And then the opportunity at Facebook came in. What they came across by saying that, hey, you know what? We have a team that's based out of
Mm-hmm.
Singapore that manages the
Mm-hmm.
Indian advertising ecosystem beyond your top advertisers, but we want to bring it to India because we feel India is emerging and at the cusp of breakthrough, and we want a
Correct.
landing team there. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so that opportunity came up, and I was one of the first recruits in that team,
Mm-hmm.
and we built the whole go-to-market charter. Of course, we did have a playbook to take and borrow from the central ecosystem that existed, but the role was so 0 to 1 in itself. So again, like Hotstar, which was a 0 to 1 sort of a build, this role also
Mm-hmm.
had a 0 to 1 and a 1 to 10 journey that
Mm-hmm.
existed, right? So I was managing the e-commerce portfolio for emerging businesses,
Mm-hmm.
and this was while oriented originally for SMEs. We quickly realized that this had so much more potential. It could end up influencing challenger brands in the country, right? You could,
Correct.
and also that became the sort of overall roadmap, right? So timing was perfect for me as well because the growth expansion in Indian startups was also just coming through, and a lot of challenger brands were
True.
emerging to challenge the status quo. Um, and this role was so enriching because I got the opportunity to get deep into the growth mandates for individual businesses. So I managed, and
Mm-hmm.
in any given quarter, 40 to 45 businesses. And I got the opportunity to get such a diverse experience of the mindset of different businesses and what the
Because of,
mandates that they
yeah.
had, what are the vision. Yeah, what
Mm-hmm.
vision did they have, and how did they want to go about building it? What were the differentials that we're trying to build compared to competition? What is the opportunity? What is the consumer mindset that they're trying to influence? And then
Mm-hmm.
solving for the performance and brand marketing landscape within that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So got the opportunity to build marketing playbooks for businesses to unlock that next step of growth because they were all at different life stages, right? Somebody was
Mm-hmm.
just launching, somebody had just gotten VC funding, somebody was looking to get the next million customers, somebody was looking to say that I want to turn profitable. The mandates were so diverse. It was truly great, right? The
Awesome.
role also eventually evolved for me, where I started managing the portfolio building construct for the whole team. So the team eventually grew large, and then they wanted somebody to hold the mandate for which kind of brands do we unlock, right? Every quarter
Mm-hmm.
there was a need for meaningful change because some businesses will obviously burn out, and the newer businesses you need to keep giving the right opportunities to the right set of businesses, right?
Mm-hmm.
That gave me great exposure to the VC ecosystem because I knew
Mm-hmm.
exactly what were the growth triggers that were there, which brands were getting funded, why were they getting funded, what were the cyclicity that existed in each verticals, because this is then taking my exposure beyond e-commerce, right? Because I'm now looking
Yeah.
at fintech, edtech,
Yeah.
real estate,
All the startups, unicorns.
all the startups that and the unicorns that came out of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And more importantly, because that also coincided with COVID, there was a consumer behavioral shift that was happening with the digital
Oh,
expansion, right? So the whole role for me was so diverse in experience that if I were to now go back to what I started off by saying
so
that
you have
this is how
witnessed the
media
COVID
works.
era also when you were there in Facebook Meta. Oh my
Correct,
God.
correct, correct.
Yeah, what an
So
experience
the
then.
last 3, 4 experience essentially put together for me how the AdX ecosystem exists in India. What are the key motivations for brands and marketing? Move into what are the true levers for growth? How do businesses think? What unlocks value? How do we take them from stage one to stage two? What are the playbooks that get you there? And with deeper exposure within the e-commerce ecosystem across the categories we just called out, right? So I had fashion, e-commerce, lifestyle, personal care, beauty, health, wellness, nutrition, home improvement, quick commerce, the whole spread, right? It is
Awesome.
truly diverse from that point of view. So I spent about 4 years at Meta doing all of this, right? It
Mm-hmm.
gave me so much depth in my learning, and I was ready for the next stage in my career where I wanted to take these learnings and shape a business into the next stage of their growth, right? And that's where Reliance Retail came calling and say, hey, we are planning to launch Reliance's new beauty vertical, and we're
Mhm.
looking for someone with your set of expertise who can help take us from a 0 to 1 and become the challenger and eventually market leader that we want for the brand. So my role at Tira currently entails the growth marketing charter, which covers performance marketing, brand media
Okay.
buying, customer
Okay.
retention journeys, and CRM, partnerships and alliances that typically exist within marketing, monetization, and loyalty,
Mm-hmm.
right? So this is a wide enough chart, and then I have teams within each one that are focused in driving and unlocking the next stage of growth for the business via all of these touch points. So yeah, that's been my journey, and I feel that I was truly lucky to be at the right place at the right time for a lot of different uh, parts of my career, because the cusp of growth happened with me in it, at the center of it, right? And that gave me such an accelerated journey of learning, and that has allowed me to shape the understanding of how marketing has evolved, and what do we need to do to take this further for businesses.
Wow, what an exciting journey, Prakash. I was just listening and everything was so fulfilling. Starting from your stint at as a copywriter till here, as a head of growth marketing, performance marketing in Tira, in Reliance. So it's completely wholesome, like how you have started from Watford Football Club, from your passion, from your calling, search in the lookout for your searching, calling, and then Star Sports. From Sports, I feel there is a transition of like in your career, like Hotstar, building Hotstar, then Meta, and especially uh, throughout this last 1.5 years, I have been talking to a lot of marketing heads and CMOs, and we have been talking about how COVID have shaped their business, or maybe the impact about the adverse impact, how they have survived. But finally I got to meet somebody who has worked in uh, companies like Meta, and COVID has, I'm sure it has shaped a lot, and it has given you a lot of opportunity to explore in Meta. And then
Yeah,
Tira,
yeah, for sure.
and one pattern I have seen in your journey, Prakash, that you have been working with big brands. They are big brands today, but you have joined all this company from the very beginning. So almost a startup experience you have, like you're building all these brands. How do you feel when you look back and see Hotstar is such a big brand? Facebook, Meta, I mean, that particular division is also like, see, now the ads, Facebook ads are drawing so much revenue. And of course, Tira is doing amazingly well. So how do you see when you look back and you have witnessed the growth journey of these big brands?
Yeah, I feel incredibly lucky because you can't always plan this, right?
Yeah.
And the thing is, it gave me such an accelerated journey of learning, right? Because when you're doing 0 to 1 or 1 to 10, you learn so much more than, let's say, when a business is established and you're trying to unlock, or it's like moving an elephant, right? It's very difficult to turn an elephant when it's already that big. But when it's
Correct.
small and when it snowballs into something big, and you can shape how that structure ends up being and how you pivot the business to get the right sort of
Yeah.
output. So those
Yeah.
sort of experiences were truly enriching for me. But I feel truly lucky to have had that sort of an exposure repeatedly over
Mm-hmm.
the last decade or so, at least, right? So
Correct.
and it excites me personally because I am the kind of person who's so excited about knowing how stuff works. So if
Yeah.
I get that sort of an exposure to understand how the nitty-gritties and integrity of the smaller parts shape up to the larger big picture, I'm always excited. So I always gravitate towards such positions and roles. So even when I was not enjoying my stint as a copywriter, I saw what was social media marketing in 2008. How was
Yeah.
digital marketing back then? What were we doing? So those were the things that I still found opportunities to learn about, even if I was not truly enjoying what I was doing. Even when I was working in that SME that I told about, my first full-time sort of a job,
Mm-hmm.
I was gravitated towards how P&L works for a business, right?
Okay.
Because my job was
Okay.
very easily to say, I have this job, you do this, and then you go home. But I
Yeah.
wanted to learn how the business works, right? And that puts you in a position where you can then enable yourself to make that next leap wherever it comes across.
Okay, but in 2008, you were searching for digital marketing and how the digital era of marketing works. This is crazy. Like, see where we are today, and this has got accelerated after COVID a lot. Before COVID, yes, we were
Yeah.
using, but 2008 is like crazy. Like, I'm sure you have been a visionary, like how the things are going to shape up. So probably you have that attention to details to see like how things are going to move forward in the future. That's what I'm connecting the dots
Yeah,
with
you're
your
being too kind.
journey.
Yeah, you're being too kind to call me these words. But yeah, I did find it very fascinating because I did find myself to be very tech savvy right from the beginning, right? So,
Okay.
so
Mm-hmm.
I naturally gravitated towards the newness of technology that came across. So whenever something excited
Mm-hmm.
me, I spent time understanding it, and then when I understood some or of it, because you can't ever understand everything of everything, right? So, I felt that I was in a reasonably good position to make informed choices.
Correct. And it has worked wonderfully well till here where you are today, Prakash. I want to understand about, the kind of categories you have worked. You have worked with personal care, fashion, lifestyle, beauty. Okay. So in this diverse experience and working with diverse industry, how have observed the consumer behavior? Consumer preferences has changed over the years. So if you uh, share some of your experiences in this, like how the marketing strategies has also been changed from there till here.
Sure, sure. I think it's a very interesting topic, and I always find it very exciting to talk about the evolution of the market space and therefore
Correct.
how the ancillary solutions around it revolve. So if you were to just look at the consumer behavior in itself, right, over the last decade or the last 3 decades for that matter, it has evolved so significantly, and over the last decade or so, very, very rapidly, right?
Yeah.
And so has therefore the advertising ecosystem, and so have the businesses that come in, right? The fundamental output of this is that customers now have the power of choice, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which was not so true for India a long time ago, right? Businesses, therefore, who are not consumer oriented will eventually not survive because customers have that power today. So the fundamentals broadly remain the same, right? You have to build great products or solutions, show the customers how it impacts their life,
Mm-hmm.
and deliver consistent experience that delights and brings them back, right? The fundamentals of business remain the same. But it is accelerated significantly because customers today will flirt with multiple brands because they have that power of choice, right?
Yes.
However, they will only repeatedly come back to businesses that add value to their lives or they have
Mm-hmm.
delightful and good experiences with them. And this holds true across categories, right? Today, a lot of newer brands focus so much on acquiring a new customer without any framework on how do you retain them or delight them. So your products and experience have to be extremely customer oriented, and
Mm-hmm. For sure.
therefore, uh, the evolution of marketing for me is still fundamentally the same skeleton. It's just that now you're competing in a more competitive ecosystem, so you have to be sharper with your output, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this also translates back to how the customer attention span has shrunk with the evolution of
Yes.
technology, right? So
Yes.
you now see brands having to be more direct with your messaging, right? You are now seeing classical CPG brands running YouTube ads and saying shop now. Gone are the
Yeah.
days when you used to sell the
Watch
story and
now.
emotions, right? Correct, correct. But that's not to say that customers won't pay attention to great stories. I think that's the big misconception that exists that, oh, customer attention span is shrinking, make 5 seconds, 10 second miss up bol do.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, that is one of the frameworks that exist today. Uh, but customers still want great stories, right? And they will pay attention when your stories are great. If it comes from a really uh, great relating sort of a space, or it tickles their imagination, right?
True.
Can you connect with the customer emotionally? Can you demonstrate value? Can you inspire them? Can you educate them to make better choices? Can you demonstrate the trust for your brands, right? These are again very, very fundamental. None of this is new.
Correct.
The dissemination methodology has evolved, right?
Mm-hmm.
And marketing will always eventually gravitate towards where user attention span is oriented, right? So, and therefore nativity in messaging becomes key.
Mm-hmm.
So when the customer attention span was on television, you could build for TV. But when it is moving
Mm-hmm.
towards digital, you can no longer build the same campaign across surfaces anymore.
True.
So
Yes.
lazy marketing does not work. That there is
Yes.
empirical evidence that exists today that if you are creating a global sort of a campaign and the same messaging without nativity reconstruction is going through, the campaign doesn't work, right? Research
Yes.
has become more critical than ever, right? And brands have to try and stay ahead of the curve, right? Because you want to identify or predict where the consumer shift will happen, and then you have
Mm-hmm.
to capture that imagination and still tell and disseminate the same information, right? But the way you do it is very, very different. So I keep telling my team, uh, if you are not doing meaningful work, right, with
Mm-hmm.
time and as time evolves, and if you are not reacting to what's happening in the ecosystem, you will be outskilled and outgunned very, very soon. So
Yeah.
that is my whole take on the evolution. So in my mind, the customer is still the same. Their decision making fundamentals are also the same. It's just that
Mm-hmm.
there is a power of choice and there is competitive market space that exists today. And you need to deliver value consistently to business to the customers for them to keep your brand at the top of mind. There is a reason why there are some businesses who still continue to dominate market share. And
Mm.
because they have evolved with time, right? And you have to
Correct.
continue doing that for it to be a meaningful part of your end game.
As the consumer preferences has changed, as you said, they have the power of choices, and at the same time they're more informed about what is happening. Yes, of course, because of the information which is floating everywhere. And for a
Yeah,
marketer, it's very, very crucial to, not to put the same old marketing method in all the channels, and to be agile, to adapt more, as you said, not being a lazy marketer, but just put your brain across and go and observe and absorb more, and then implement that to your marketing strategy to keep uh, engaging and keep attracting to your consumer, like, which is the ultimate aim of any marketer. So well said, Prakash. I think that was clear, and it's the core of every marketing division to understand how consumer behaves and how we can reach out to them. So I felt, as you have worked with diverse industries, so it would be great to understand those different understanding about how this topic works around, right?
so
uh, Prakash, give me something in this, like, as a head of growth marketing at Tira. Tira is an omni-channel platform, right? So how do you ensure a seamless shopping experience for your customer across online and offline channels? Because these are two different segments and mindset altogether. So how do you do that?
yeah, sure. And it's an exciting challenge to be a part of, right? So Tira is a very new business. And in fact, we are
Mm-hmm.
the last entrant to the category where existing players, all big, by the way, in their own
All
stature,
big,
right? Because there are
yes.
market leaders.
Nika,
So
sugar.
so yeah, all big in their own stature, right? And a lot of them have over a decade worth of head start, right? So it's an
Yes.
exciting sort of a space to come to and try to create a disruption, right?
Mhm.
So let's start with the fundamentals, right? Tira is one of Reliance Retail's true omni-channel launch from the get-go, right? So when we launched the
Mhm.
business, we launched in-store and online, right? So that was one thing very, very unique for us, and it was very exciting because the vision of the platform is very great, right?
Yeah.
So Tira aims to be an aspirational yet accessible beauty platform for every consumer, no matter where they are in their personal experiences with their beauty.
Mm-hmm.
So our campaign therefore is also oriented towards the messaging for every you, right? So no matter who you are, what your journey is, there is something for everybody. But our primary focus is on elevating the consumer experience in a category that has seen so much innovation globally, yet the Indian experience is due for an upgrade, right? And I say this with all respect to the players in the category, right? But we have seen internationally that the consumer has evolved so much because the experience that is being given to them is very, very different.
Yes.
So let's take an example, right? Our Tira stores are unlike anything that has been seen in India, right? They are essentially
Mm-hmm.
large, spaced, experiential centers with technology baked into the experience of the customer, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we have features like fragrance finder, which essentially allows
Okay.
you to smell different notes, and then depending on what you prefer and like, it uses AI
Mm.
to identify the right fragrance for you, right? Now, this
Oh,
is
wow.
a great way to introduce a customer to the kind of discovery that they would have with, let's say, fragrance as a category. Similarly, we have a skin analyzer, which allows you to take a picture, and then based on your skin concerns, it recommends the right routine, right?
Okay.
Plus, we are taking it from a delight point of view as well, right? So we
Mm-hmm.
offer personalized engravings on your purchases, right? So it's a great way for you to own that experience for yourself or as a great gifting sort of a solution, right?
Super.
We also have beauty advisors who are on hand to give you personalized recommendation based on what will suit you, what you would like, and they will ask you the right questions and try to get you the right solutions, right?
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we have your styling stations and try on stations within the store that really enhance that experience in store for you, right? So it's a great delight experience, and it wows a consumer to think that, okay, I'm not just here to buy a product, I'm here to experience it, right? And,
Mm.
and and because beauty is such a touch and feel sort of a category, right? So we wanted
Yes.
to make sure that this sort of an experience is translated fundamentally for Tira, right? And therefore, how do you translate this sort of an experience online as well, right? To start with, we have a very clean UI that gives you a very premium look and feel when you browse across.
Correct.
But at the same time, it's not very alienating because we do sell a lot of the brands that people buy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
the same personalization piece that we talked about online, sorry, off in store,
Offline.
we have
Mm-hmm.
yeah, offline in store, we have also extended that online, right? So we have a for you section in the platform where we
Okay.
have a small quiz. So depending on
Mm-hmm.
what you answer, so what kind of hair you have, what kind of skin you have, do you have any concerns? So once you input that, it crawls through our catalog and recommends the right solutions for you, right? So we're
Okay.
taking that experience and translating omni-channel. The same beauty advisors that we spoke about for retail, we have them available online as well, where you can chat or do a video call and then get the recommendations that you want.
Okay.
For
Okay.
people who don't like to chat with people or want a quick sort of a suggestion, we also have an AI recommendation within the chatbot, right? So you can chat with
Okay.
the bot, and the bot has been programmed to answer the most frequently asked questions or to solve for the most common concerns, and that will keep evolving as time goes on. Even from an experiential point of view, right? Most
Mm-hmm.
loyalty programs in India are very very poor in my opinion, and that is
Mm-hmm.
because they give pittance as value back to customers. So
Mm-hmm.
we have launched Tira Treats as a loyalty sort of a solution, which is
Okay.
oriented towards delighting a customer, right?
Mm.
So for example, you earn 10 points for every 100 rupees that you spend on the platform, right? And these 10 points are meaningful 10 points and not translated down to decimals when you eventually go to redeem.
Yeah.
And more importantly, instead of giving that value as a cashback, which is typically what most businesses end up doing, we are saying that, hey, you accumulate these points on the platform. And we
Mm-hmm.
have a extensive rewards catalog that you can come and redeem your favorite products. For example, I
Oh,
want my customer to come and redeem a Dyson on my platform if they can
yeah.
accumulate enough points, right? So you want to
Awesome.
incentivize the user to come and shop their favorite products and reward them
Mm-hmm.
for their loyalty on the platform rather than just
Mm-hmm.
saying, here's X% and
Few
Y% and
points.
here's a sample
It's
in
very
there, right? So and
confusing,
and this is
actually. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and to be fair, this is not unique to beauty as a category, right? This has been done successfully internationally. It's just that it's been a decade in India and nobody's really built that sort of a framework meaningfully,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So that's what we are trying to do, right? So we are trying to see how can we make beauty experiences in India, which are today purely transactional,
Mm-hmm.
how do we translate that to an experience that wows a customer and delight a customer? Because I feel true disruption comes in this category when you solve for your customer, right? And that's
Mm-hmm.
how the journey at Tira has been for me so far. Of course, a lot of the things are said in a manner where I don't want to reveal too much
Yeah.
because
Mm.
of where we are in a life stage, because we're still just about a year old. So we hope that we become the most loved beauty platform for every shopper, and we hope that we give stand true to the mission that we are for every you. That's how we are thinking about it. So all our marketing is oriented towards that, right? So, but marketing is not the only thing. Of course, we are still in our early stages of cracking this. So there may be still be some gaps that we are looking to solve for, but we truly believe that this is where the customer is heading, because this is what the customer experience in India has been lacking, and we want to solve for that.
Awesome. And I wish you all the very best for, for the kind of visions which you as a team has for the beauty segment. Prakash, we spoke about the beauty segment Tira, and also I'm curious about to know your experience. Like you have worked with companies like Disney Hotstar, Star Sports. Okay, so how do you see the media and entertainment landscape evolving, especially with the rise of the streaming platform and the digital content which is floating all around, the digital kind of consumption which is happening? So how do you see this?
Also, I think creators have truly changed the game, right? People
Mm-hmm.
trust authenticity uh, when in marketing communications or any form of content in itself. And I think the fact that the emergence of creators have played such a big role in pop culture today is a
Mm-hmm.
truest signal to that effect. The
Mm-hmm.
other thing that has also started happening is there is a cultural shift where instant gratification is now name of the game. So
Oh
any
yeah.
platform that delivers this adds a lot of value to the consumer mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but having said all of that, I think pop culture has always been part of marketing philosophy, right? Because if you look back in time and find some of the most iconic ads, they're baked in pop culture.
Correct.
Uh, but what digital allows you to do is it allows brands to take this to another level, right? It allows you to be
Mm-hmm.
instantaneous and to the point where you no longer have to go spend 2 3 months of time to think of an idea, bake it into a pro campaign, deploy it. You can now deploy it instantaneously.
True.
What digital advertising also solves for is the classical barrier to entry problem that traditional media had, right?
Mm-hmm.
Production of content can be done from a mobile phone today. You can launch
Correct.
the campaign the same day with minimal edit. In fact,
And you
you
can
can launch
remove
multiple.
also, like if
Yeah,
it is not
exactly.
working, right?
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, right? In fact, you can launch multiple variations of the campaign simultaneously, and you see in real time what is working, what is not working. You change what's not
Mm-hmm.
working, add to what's working. So I think this
Correct.
whole piece is a game changer within the digital sort of a space, which
Mm-hmm.
had never been envisaged in any sort of a traditional sort of program. Because
Correct.
traditionally, what would happen is you would conduct market research for your campaign, test the creators before launching, then launch it. So in any point in time, 3 to 6 months is the average time that you used to take to launch a campaign. Maybe more. If you go back to the 90s, Pepsi used to take about a year for each campaign, right?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
But look at it now. You're launching a campaign every 10 15 days because you have so many ideas that you can test directly, right?
Yeah.
You're doing
Yeah.
real level simultaneous testing and get real time feedback.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this trend will continue to grow
Mm-hmm.
till the next technological innovation comes into play, right? And then the
Okay.
trend will shift again because that is the nature of the game, right? There will be something
Mm-hmm.
that will come to disrupt, and then
Mm-hmm.
attention will go towards that, and where the consumer attention is, marketing exists.
Mm-hmm.
But having said all of this, in my mind, in a country like India, where the reach for any sort of marketing mediums is still expanding, right? TV is still a growing medium.
Yeah.
It's not reached a point like the US or Europe where TV is a degrowing medium. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
at best, TV is a growing slash stagnating sort of a medium, right? We
Yeah.
haven't reached
Yeah.
the other end of the bell curve.
Mm-hmm.
So I think TV, print, outdoor will remain a critical channel for mass reach and mass impact because they still work. There
Okay.
is empirical evidence towards that
Mm-hmm.
sort of a piece.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, digital also has its own challenges, and I'm sure this will continue to evolve over time. But in
Correct.
my mind, I think there is a shift that has happened. There are a lot of benefits that come with digital. There is still a lot of value that traditional media is having. So I think
Correct.
we both of these pieces will evolve.
Yeah, and both are very important. But at the same time, we have witnessed the, marketing mix, which has shifted massively, like
Yeah,
from the digital, uh, the same thing, like the budget has shifted from the offline to digital a lot. But at the same
yeah,
time, what I feel, the numbers have also increased. So, there is a equal part goes to the offline marketing. But yes, of course, digital gives you the wings to reach faster, analyze faster, and strategize faster, and take decision and implement. And probably that market research what you do through the digital channels, that helps you to execute it to your other channels, which are your traditional marketing, probably offline, print, television. And it's also a
Yeah.
cost effective thing, so it's an intelligent way that you experiment here first, and then you put your money here
Yeah.
in the offline channels, right?
Absolutely.
Prakash, understanding your leadership journey, I think this is one of my favorite topic of the whole conversation, where I talk about the leadership challenges and journey, and because it gives you a mindset. Leaders are leaders for some reason, and they have their own challenges and how they overcome. So that mind tapping into that mindset is something which is very exciting. I want to understand your mind as well here. What kind of legacy you want to leave behind in your professional journey, and what impact do you aspire to have in your team, organizations, and in the broader industries?
I think legacy is such a strong word.
Yeah.
It puts me in awe of what that translates to. Because surely everyone wants to be the best in their class, and this is
Mm.
very culturally a norm in India, right? But I think deep down, I would feel happy if I have unlocked true value for businesses at different points of my career to the best of my
Mhm.
ability. I think that is where would feel very fulfilled because I've had the opportunity to learn, relearn, unlearn, and evolve across my career. And hopefully, I'll get the opportunity to continue doing so, right? And I
Mhm.
would hope that my teams and mentees and anybody who looks up to me within
Mhm.
my group end up shaping their own careers meaningfully with the same ethos, right?
Mhm.
The businesses that I have worked with or I've interacted with, I have helped shaped any form of their growth or their evolution. I hope they become key drivers of change across the industry, oriented towards their own respective missions while providing value for customers, because I think that is what should eventually be the end game for them. I
Mhm.
feel in my mind personally, and this is me, different people have different equilibriums to ambitions and growth and legacies.
Mhm.
I feel being content with your personal ambitions and discontent with your output is a very key part of achieving professional zen.
Oh,
Right.
wow.
So I am very happy being where I'm at, but I'm very
Mhm.
unhappy with what I have achieved because I want to keep delivering more. And therefore, whatever comes out of it
So
is the
if you have to
output of what I
repeat it
do.
again, Prakash, being content with.
Yeah. So being content with your personal ambitions and
Mhm.
discontent with your output.
Oh, wow. You are
Yeah.
detaching yourself from the outcome so that you're not feverish about the result, but you are very passionate about your inputs. Like, this is my
Yeah.
efforts. Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Because there is always something that you can do better. And then finding that next better thing is what you should strive towards. Rather than saying, ye karunga to mujhe ye milega, right? So you delink that gratification from it. You orient your gratification towards
Awesome.
uh, what I am able to deliver. Right. When that ends up
Mm-hmm.
happening, success does follow eventually for you. That's what I felt. Right. So
True.
if you can solve true problems, you always have value to add. Um, yeah. So hopefully this is what people remember me by from my interactions and my working experience with them. That's how I see this.
Wow, that's a great way to see things, Prakash. I realized when you are saying that often we get confused that I need to put my effort, but at the same time, वो कहते हैं ना कर्म करो फल की इच्छा मत करो. So if you're not thinking about the fruits, then how will you put your efforts, because you need to put your passion. But this is a very good way that be passionate when you're putting the efforts, but be dispassionate when it comes to the outcome, and that will help you to develop your patience, your perseverance, and at the same time, when you keep repeating, the outcome will fall in place because that's the default. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the byproduct. Like, this is how it is going to be, right? So I think it's a
Yeah.
great way to look things forward, Prakash. And I really loved the concept of, how you can just tweak it a little and, you can move forward. Amazing. So Prakash, with this
Thanks.
now, we are moving towards a section called Rapid Fire Round. It's fun, it's entertainment, and it also allows our viewers to know you as a person a little more. We know you as a professional, and we know a little about your professional background and journey. This is going to allow me to ask questions which are not directly related to your professional journey. Rules are you need to answer in one word, okay, or as minimum as possible. Okay, So, Prakash, if you have to, you know, meet any historical figure, who it would be?
Does Warren Buffett count as a historical figure? His work, his line of work and output is historical.
Amazing. Yeah.
But yeah, but that does. And I think if I were to translate that to the Indian sort of a space, I think I really enjoy watching a lot of the content that is made by Rakesh Jhunjhunwala previously. His interviews are
Okay.
fantastic to the point.
Okay.
They're very articulate. The logical simplicity of some of what they say is what I really love.
Okay. So, what's that one thing that would surprise people to know about you?
Okay. So I think I would call myself a coconut because I'm so well
Okay.
structured and logical. And then it may seem like I'm a very tough nut to crack, but people, once they get past that sort of a shell, I hope I'm as delightful as an experience for people as the interior of the coconut is. Oh, damn. My bucket list is entirely travel related.
Okay. So, what's the best piece of advice you have ever received?
I think there is a general one which translates both to personal and professional both, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
The personal one is to never be perturbed by any situation, right? No matter what the situation, there's always a solution. If you plan ahead, do your best, things will fall in place. So very similar to what I spoke about towards the end, right, for my legacy. And that
mm-hmm,
translates even professionally, right? Because there's always something that you can learn from every experience, right? A lot of people say, I have a bad manager. My role is not enriching. I'm not in the
mm-hmm,
right organization. And most people get engrossed in the negativity of these experiences. But this is such a great opportunity for character building, right?
mm-hmm,
If you find silver linings, plan forward and try to move ahead, you will learn
mm-hmm.
and evolve eventually. So I think this is one of the best advice that was been given. I think my mother has been very inspirational to me since my childhood in terms of letting go of the bad and focusing on the goods. And this was reinforced by one of my leaders in one of my earlier jobs as well, right? So you look beyond the negatives and then you start to see a lot of the good in life.
If you could have any superpowers, so what would it be?
Do you want a quirky answer or do you want an
And
aspirational one? I have one for each.
I think I'll choose the quirky one.
The quirky one is time manipulation, right? So if I could have the capability to speed up time or when it's moving too slow or slow it down when you want to prolong or live the moment a little bit more
Oh
or travel
wow.
through time to live or witness historic moments and learn from those experiences. I think it's such a great fantasy to have. So if
Yeah,
that is
yeah, yeah.
something that
It's
I
a
have, I think
fantasy. Awesome. And what is
yeah.
the aspirational one?
Oh yeah, that's if I could have that one power that truly mattered, I would wish for all humans and animals on this planet to coexist and thrive peacefully without conflict or hurt or
Oh wow.
damaging the ecosystems for each other. So that's one
Mm-hmm.
thing that I would wish for.
Oh
If
wow.
I could ever have that sort of this is what I would hope I could have that power.
Okay, awesome, Prakash. I think we are out of the rapid fire round. And before we wind up this conversation, I want you to talk for our aspiring marketing professional. Lot of them aspire to become like, see, digital marketing is a place where almost half the India is aspiring to make their profession. So what is your advice for any aspiring marketing professional on their way up?
Yeah, I think it's a very important thing for you to pay attention to detail, right? And
Mm-hmm.
not just in your own work, but also what's happening around you, because there is information everywhere. So don't get gravitated that my work, my output, ye mera deadline, mera kaam, right? Think about things that are happening around you because that gives you a better understanding of the big picture. This will give you more information for you to take the right decisions, right? So ask
Mm-hmm.
questions wherever possible. Don't be the kind of person who's like, "Acha, bol diya to kar diya." It's okay to disagree, right? I think Amazon has a great leadership principle called disagree and commit. So you can go
Mm-hmm.
into a meeting, you can disagree, but then once you come out of the room, you commit, and then you commit fully. And I think that's a great philosophy to have, because there is always somebody who has more information than you, right? And you trust that information, but ask questions so that you get that information for yourself. So that's the one advice I think that has helped me a lot in my career because that allows me to make more central decisions
Mm-hmm.
or oriented decisions in the right direction because there is now information to my action, and the more information you have, the better. The other thing also
Mm-hmm.
is I've already mentioned this earlier, but I think there is especially in today's day and age, it is very important to learn, unlearn, and relearn.
Yes.
because that evolution is very, very critical. In my career, I have not come to a job where I feel that I am at 100% on day one, right? I have
Mm-hmm.
had to evolve. So even if I'm at 30%, 50%, 70%, and it's okay to not know everything, right? That's the other learning that I've got in my career. It's okay if you're not
Mm.
the 100% expert on the topic. There is
Correct.
always somebody that you can learn from, and you can add that to your knowledge base. So be ready to have this in your journey. So a lot of people, especially in today's day and age, I feel that they know something and they say, हाँ मुझे सब आता है, अभी मैं बताऊंगा
Mm.
कैसे करना है. And I think that's a very dangerous position to put yourself in, because you will very quickly have an imposter syndrome when you meet somebody more
Yes.
experienced or more
Yes.
knowledgeable.
Yes.
So just be grounded, be humble, be ready to learn or unlearn whatever you have learned, because different scenarios need different sort of logic. Yeah, so that's my advice to people who are aspiring to be good market leaders in
Yes.
tomorrow.
Yeah. And this acceptance is very, very necessary, Prakash, as you said, that, not knowing things and accepting that I don't know, but let me be open to learn more. Let me say that, I don't know this. So we often, people get hesitant towards, agar maine bol diya ki mujhe nahi aata, people are going to judge, but that is okay. Like, I mean, what you know is definitely lesser than what you don't know. So if you're saying that I don't know, that is completely okay, because it's not possible to know everything. And that makes you like vulnerable, but at the same time accepting the fact in a right way. And I think you have put it in a right words, Prakash. And it's a pearl of advice for many people. And I I mean, the whole conversation went so seamlessly well. And I realized that we have almost crossed 45 minutes to 50 minutes. It was so wholesome, insightful, and a lot of things we have covered, Prakash. So I'm glad you made it for this on Icons Behind Brand on a Saturday evening. So thank you for being here. And it was so amazing and incredible for me. And of course, for my
No, lovely
viewers.
being here. Thanks. Yeah, thanks for having me. It was great chatting with you as well.